Hi, I'm Goose, and welcome back to Design in Minecraft. Today, we're going to be talking about balance and emphasis. Hi, Editing Goose here. I am going through the video, and I realized I say unsymmetrical instead of asymmetrical, basically every time I'm supposed to say it. So I'm just going to dub over it right now and insert it in, and hopefully it doesn't bother you guys too much. So sorry. Asymmetrical. Okay, that's all. Thank you. When I talk about balance and emphasis, I'm going to use a lot of words like weight and heavy and light. I want to make it clear that I'm not talking about the weight like kilograms or pounds of the materials. I'm talking about the amount of focus and attention that an element of a build pulls. For example, we have a spruce door, and this blends in and harmonizes with this pretty well, but if we put a warped door in there, there's a lot of contrast in the color there, and there's some contrast in the texturing. So now I would say that that door has more weight than this one over here, simply because of the contrast of colors and materials. Weight can also be changed by the placement of something in a build. For example, I just moved this door to the right a little bit. It has a different feel, it has a different balance. One way of looking at it is that this side is now heavier because it's the only side with a door. Or you could say that this blank space is drawing your attention, so there's too much weight over here, and we needed something over here to balance it out. If we really start moving things around, an image can become very unbalanced. This isn't a bad thing. If you want something to look a little more chaotic or worn down or unique or stand out, having things very off balance can be beneficial. Just like all the principles that I talk about, there is no right or wrong way to use them. What we're doing is practicing and learning tools that will help us describe the choices that we make. Having a door in the center is not better than having a door over here, but there may be a reason you want things to be symmetrical versus off balance. Understanding the difference that that movement of the door can make is going to help you make better, more informed, and more articulated choices in your builds and in anything that you're designing. Over here, I have a few different examples of walls and entryways. This is to show you how changing the balance in an element can change how it feels. This is also to show you that sometimes having an off-balance thing can increase emphasis. There's a major crossover between emphasis and balance. Right here, we just have a symmetrical wall, and it looks good, it looks uniform, there's nothing wrong with this. Over here, we moved one of the pillars over, and we put a larger window here. Now, this does bring more attention to the window. It also brings more attention to these pillars over here. This may be useful if you want to create more emphasis on a certain wall or a certain area of a building. We did the same thing over here, except with an entryway. I am not a big fan of symmetrical entryways because they really look like faces. I mean, it's hard to avoid faces in Minecraft, but symmetrical entryways really are heavy on the faces. By offsetting the door and window in a build like this, it can make what I think is a little bit more of a welcoming entrance. You can put some garden here, you can, change things, you can have a little bit more visibility into the house. It gives you a little bit more options for detailing, in my opinion. Over here, we're showing the change in balance with the color as well with the placement of the doors. Because I moved the door to the left on this side, it left this wall feeling off. I'm going to put it back to the sandstone so you can see. Although the point was to show something that was off balance, I felt like this was too off balance. So in order to balance it out, what I did was I pulled some of the colors that are on the left side that are very heavy into the right side to create a little bit more balance and a little bit more weight on the right side. Details like plants and trees can be really useful when you want to use balance to emphasize a certain area or lead people into a certain area. Over here, we have more detail. We have the stones and the vines. We have the water. And the tree over here puts a lot of weight on this side, which is good because we want someone to go and focus in on this area. But we don't want the left side to be so blank and so spacious that that draws your eye away from this. Sometimes the empty space has more weight than the detail. So I used a clump of trees to kind of block this area off and keep that balanced while still keeping an emphasis right here. You can use contrast and color the same way to show emphasis or to change the balance of a scene. Maybe in this room, the yellow is overwhelming, so we want to tone it down by putting an emphasis of a different color. Now that we only have one new color in here, that becomes an accent. The room before was overwhelmingly yellow, and putting a little accent can both add more attention to the yellow because there's contrast, but it can also help balance it out a little bit. If we want to balance it even more, we can bring the blue into other areas of the room. The more we add, the more balanced the scene becomes. Now, I would say this room is still overwhelmingly yellow, but having a very high contrast color like blue really does help balance it out, even though it's creating more contrast. And contrast is just one way to create balance or emphasis. This can be contrast in size, this can be contrast in shape, in color, in placement. We have an empty space here, contrasted with a dark, detailed space here, or we have very contrasting colors in here. The varying style of builds in Minecraft can be great for creating emphasis and balance if you want to. Let's say you have some players coming into a town and they need to find, the witch or warlock's house. Oh gee, I wonder which one it is. Balance and emphasis can be very helpful when you're theming a build as well. You want something to look like a shrine or a temple, going with a symmetrical build can be a very good idea. If we want something to look a little more run down, well used, and utilitarian, avoiding symmetry can be very helpful. Something else that happens when you avoid symmetry is it looks like there are more items. When things are symmetrical, our brain tends to put them in groups and kind of cancels the other one out. We see 2 groups instead of 4 items. But when things are varied and asymmetrical, our brain sees everything as its own individual object. It can make things look a lot more natural and a lot less intentionally placed. This is very important when you're doing terraforming or making things look natural. Now, this is a little scene that I made that we're going to be coming back to a few times in the series, especially in composition. But I want to point out that balance and emphasis can be very important when you want a scene to be viewed from a specific angle. I have the trees on each side framing this image, and this path leads the eye up. The orange and the glass is a great contrast, but the slope of the building kind of matches the slope of the mountains, and it follows the mountains up. This leads the eye from here right to the building and creates a pretty well framed and composed image. We'll be coming back to talk more about this build in line, movement, and composition. All of the elements of design really go hand in hand. There's going to be a lot of crossover in these videos, but we're going to pull everything together in the end when we finally get to composition. In the meantime, see how you can change the overall feel and vibe of a build by changing the balance or by putting emphasis on a specific element. Make a build, move some of the doors around, move some of the windows around, maybe put an unexpected color in there, here and there. I'm going to put a link to my Discord down below, and I would love to have you come and check it out. Come and share your builds, talk with me, talk with the other builders. There's some amazing builders in there, seriously. But I would love to see you there. And again, thank you so much for watching. You guys have really been amazing. You guys are making this very worthwhile and very rewarding for me. I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, have a nice day. See ya.